Well, will we or won't we have the much needed rain that's been advertised for the Northeast and Northern Mid Atlantic states? It seems to be on the way, but as we know, uh, we've been promised, and generally it's been a story of being, well, let's say, not delivering completely on all these promises over the summertime months. We've got from nothing, we now have Tropical Storm Earl, we have Hurricane Danielle in the central Atlantic, which actually is uh, kind of important to the overall pattern here. So we're going to talk about all of these wonderful subject matters and so much more on today's Joe and Joe Weather Show, brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, your go-to place for making sure your home is in terrific shape, hardware-wise and maybe generator-wise in case you lose power, as Joe Rayo often does. And we also have mulch and topsoil and everything else to make your yard look great after this drought that we've had. Again, 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York, in southwest Suffolk County, serving the entire New York, New Jersey, tri-state area with the lowest prices anywhere. 631-756-1125 is the telephone number. And as Joe Rayo knows oh so well, the website is
OmniTrueValue.com.
So here we are on a Sunday morning. We're starting a little later than usual because we usually go at 11. I kind of like, I don't know about you, I like the noon start actually. It gives me a little extra hour to do a few things on a Sunday morning.
And also the fact that the new GFS is in the midst of coming out now so that we can at least get a early glimpse of what it is saying. So, yeah, that might actually be, better to start at noon as opposed to 11 o'clock. But that's still something that needs to be decided, I guess.
Yes, we could
in the days to come.
We could certainly discuss it with the, our long line of producers and associate producers, executive producers, et cetera, directors, technical directors, and what have you. So we've got a Sunday morning here where there's a lot of different things going on, and they all are having impact on. One is having an impact on the next one, which is having an impact on the next one, and so forth. The old butterfly effect. But I am cautiously optimistic. As I was looking at stuff all through the last several days and yesterday and today, this morning, I am cautiously optimistic that this is going to be a relatively widespread. Now, there'll be some variations. Some people get more and some people get less. But I'm cautiously optimistic of a 1 to 2 inch general rainfall for most of eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. Cautious.
I will agree, and we will certainly see that come to fruition, because what it is, it's just a weather front that is sagging slowly southward toward us, and at the same token, as it's coming on down, some of the models are projecting a wave or ripple of low pressure, which would only enhance or accentuate the rain chance for later tomorrow into Tuesday. If that wave does indeed form, we will indeed get a rather nice soaking rain. A little late in the ball game. I mean, I think that my lawn, I don't know about you. Well, you're further out of the picture down to the south, but for much of the tri-state area, my lawn is the poster child for most lawns, I think, Joe. Yeah, you look out the window and I see a lot more brown and gold as opposed to green out there on the front lawn and on the back lawn too. So it would have been nice to have this soaking rain, let's say in mid or late July. Early September, again, it's a little late in the ball game. I don't know what we could do with this. Certainly the lawn will appreciate it, but in a few weeks, everything is going to start shutting down, and growing season will be coming to an end. And what else can I say?
I believe it or not, I mean, I don't have a dry problem here. It actually rained here this morning, rained yesterday morning as well, and for the most part, I've had my fair share of rain showers and downpours and a couple of thunderstorms along the way. I have already some of the trees changing color and leaves coming down, believe it or not, along with the hickory nuts and a few other things.
Yeah, well, but the same thing is happening up here, but for a different reason. Because it's so dry, some of the trees are already saying that's it. Might as well pack up and hopefully better things for next year. I have a tree on the side of my house where about half the leaves now are red. Half the leaves are like a reddish coloration, and a lot of leaves are already on my lawn, both front and back. And I think it's because of the fact that there has just been a paucity of moisture, a lack of any rainfall, and for those leaf peepers, those people who enjoy looking forward to September, October, early November, to go out and take a look as the leaves change color, I think that with such a dry season as we've had, that's only going to cause the colors to be muted. There will not be as vibrant a coloration this year as opposed to, let's say, last year. And Joe, I was thinking about this just the other day. What a difference. What a difference a year makes. Last year, we had some incredible numbers in terms of precipitation over a span of just a few weeks in late August and into September.
Right.
More rain than we've ever seen in that short interval. And now here we are a year later, and it's just on the opposite side of the spectrum. Hardly anything to talk about. It's amazing. The late Tex Antoine used to say, do weather change? It certainly do. And it did in just a matter of 1 year's time. We've gone from one extreme to the other.
Well, can you imagine if every year we're going to be accompanied by a month's worth of rain in 4 hours' time, which was
Yeah.
basically what happened last year with Ida. Yeah, and I think I don't know. I'm having difficulty recalling what happened after that in terms of the rest of the month, whether it turned out to be dry or not. Um, but it is interesting, you get these years. That's some days, some stretches. It rains all spring and everybody complains. The rain has been scant and quite variable at best for the summer, and everybody complains. So now we've got the tropical season where it was basically shut down from early July to the first day of September. Now we've got two named tropical storms two named systems, one a hurricane, one a tropical storm. What's kind of interesting to me, if you want to get some clues out of this, is the fact that, at least from the standpoint of Earl and Danielle, they're not obviously neither one is having a direct impact here, but they are impacting everything that's going to be happening here tomorrow and Tuesday. I mean, Danielle has been sitting virtually in the same spot for 3 days in the north central Atlantic. Earl has been, kind of chugging along at a very, very slow pace to the northwest, and they're kind of they're involved in this traffic jam here that is setting up the rainfall for tomorrow. Now, I would say this: if we were in a rainy pattern for July and August, and we were looking at this for tomorrow, you need a drink of water, by the way.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm just coughing. That's all.
Just checking.
I actually had a big cup. Not big cup, but those little miniature plastic cups with the cough medicine or whatever. So I had a full cup of that.
Oh, fabulous!
Hit the air here. So.
Do the show with some NyQuil, and then bring a pillow with you. No, what I was getting at is if we were coming off a wet summer with a setup like this for tomorrow into Tuesday, I'd have no problem forecasting probably 2 to 4 inches of rain with flash flooding and everything else. And again, but the pattern's different. Dry begets dry, wet begets wet. So from the standpoint of trying to hit high numbers, you have to really kind of go along the lines of prove it to me. And
have you been noticing, Joe, with Earl, not with Danielle? Danielle is a fish storm or whatever, but I've seen not a few forecasters who are saying we're going to have to keep an eye on this. Not saying that it's going to make landfall in anywhere along the eastern seaboard, but implying or alluding to the possibility that this thing might actually come very close to the Atlantic seaboard, or maybe even, you know, have a say in the weather along the Atlantic? I mean, what do you think? I think that it's going to stay pretty much
Yeah, look,
well offshore.
there were a few. There have been a few ensemble members that make a case for Earl coming further west than advertised, and I talked about this last week. We're talking about the fact that the GFS seemed to have been in a big hurry in trying to take this up and out, and that has turned out to be wrong. And the Europeans been a little different. It seems to me like it's a I think it's a long shot. It's very much a long shot for it to come closer to the eastern seaboard. Although if you look at model, the way the models have been handling this and sort of trying to get a grip on it all, it is seemingly wanting to go a little bit further to the west. It would have to come a long way further west to be a factor. The other thing, Joe, the way that it happens is that the tropical storm Earl needs to remain weak for a long period of time, where it's kind of cradled underneath this upper ridge that's off the southeast coast. So if it stays weak, it can drift further to the west. But you've got to have a lot of pieces, a lot of things have to come together, and I for something to get closer. And I certainly wouldn't look at everything now and saying and put my put my chips down on the idea that would be the case.
I noticed that in the 0Z GFS last night, Earl actually did kind of a little tiny loop-de-loop.
Yeah.
Somewhere off of the mid-Atlantic, far off the mid-Atlantic coastline. And I would take that into account from the fact that there was like an upper trough, and Earl was kind of like sitting there and kind of waiting for it to get picked up. But it didn't quite get picked up, so it went a little ways to the west, and then it got bumped more to the. So I agree with you, and it's gonna take a lot to bring Earl within striking distance of the eastern seaboard. But again, as we've always said in the news media, if it bleeds, it leads, and if there's even one little bit of an allusion to a possible tropical cyclone or even a hurricane coming close to the Atlantic seaboard. That's something that and it's been such a quiet summer, but now all of a sudden all eyes are on Earl. I've seen it before. I'll see it again years from now. It never ends. But right now I don't. Now, one thing that Earl could produce a problem is churning up the seas and causing swells along the eastern seaboard if it really does wind up to be a very strong tropical storm or even a Category 1 hurricane. So that's one thing that Earl could do. But then again, isn't this the last weekend of summer? Don't the beaches start closing down officially, or the lifeguards hang it up after?
I think now, because they love making extra money. By the way, the satellite loop with Earl on it is on the screen. They've extended that to Columbus Day weekend, where the beaches are closed. Usually, they don't have any lifeguards on during the week, but they have. Of course, it depends on where you live and what, is it a state beach? Is it a federal? Is it local? Whatever it is. But I think the New York State beaches have lifeguards on the weekends, and they charge you for parking until Columbus Day weekend. So the answer to that is yes and no. But by the way, if you look at the loop, you look where Earl is, you look at how the clouds are moving in the Gulf states and in the southeast part of the United States. If Earl, instead of being near 60 degrees west, was more like near 70 west, we probably would be having a different kind of conversation here.
Yes, because you could see how the clouds are kind of becoming more deflected toward the south and west. And so you would, wonder whether or not Earl would come to a halt and then suddenly turn around and go to the left or to the lower left, as opposed to drifting more to the north and maybe eventually to the north and east.
Yeah, there again. If it stays weak, it's going to stay tucked in under this upper high a little bit longer. If it starts to suddenly strengthen, and we don't really see a whole lot going on this morning that suggests that it's going to do that. If it were to suddenly start to strengthen and strengthen rather rapidly, then you're going to wind up with a turn more toward the north, a faster turn more toward the north, which is what the GFS has been implying all along. And by the way, has been quite wrong. That's the one thing through all of this is the fact that the GFS has been overdeveloping this too early, turning it too early, moving it too early. And look, the fact is, up to the northeast of it, at the top of the screen here, you can see most of it is Hurricane Danielle. And as I said, Danielle has not moved very much at all in the last 3 days. It's just been kind of sitting up here. Trying to clean this up here. It's just been sitting up there, so it's until Danielle gets out of the way. Earl is going to have a kind of a tough time figuring out where's it going to go. It can go north, but it's only going to be able to get so far if Danielle's still sitting out in the middle of the Atlantic. If it stays weak, it can go more west before it turns north. And by the way, there's also this other big swirl well out in the eastern Atlantic that's kind of part of this traffic jam too. So right now, everything, with nothing moving out in the Atlantic, the upside to this is when we look at what's happening across the U.S., you'll see all the clouds and moisture to our west. It's at least saying that the rest of today, other than, I threw in the chance that there could be a scattered or an isolated shower or thunderstorm this evening in some inland spots. But overall, for most folks, for the rest of the day, from central New England down into North Carolina, it's going to be fine. There's not going to be any weather issues at all.
And the thing also is that Earl, according to the National Hurricane Center, by 120 hours, 5 days from now, may grow into a major hurricane with top winds in excess of 110 miles per hour. So it is slowly, let's underscore that word, slowly developing. They're saying that it could be a Cat 1 hurricane by 72 hours, 3 days from now. And again, you're absolutely right, Joe. It's going to have to wait for Danielle. Isn't that how it is sometimes in life, where the man has to wait for the woman to make the decision?
Oh, and by the way,
I know now I'm gonna get killed first by my wife and any number of the women who are on the chat board for me even alluding to or saying that.
And you're darn right, should be, but you are reminding me of the fact that there was someone had tweeted this, and it's something that I have been saying for forever and ever, and it just drove me crazy, is hurricanes, and this is according to the Associated Press style sheet, Joe, the Associated Press style sheet, which is what they use in most newsrooms when it comes to, how do you say certain things, what's the grammar, what's the punctuation. Hurricanes are not referred to as male or female. They are its, okay? So
they're its.
Right, they are not sexual objects according to, and I agree with this 100%. Okay, so the female or male name designation is just that, and nothing more. So that you're not supposed to say she is turning northeast, she is strengthening rapidly, he is weakening rapidly, he is stationary, that kind of thing.
So no, you have to say it is correct. Not she is.
That's correct. But we like.
Then why attach a moniker of gender to the darn thing to begin with? Why don't we just revert back to the old days and call them alpha, beta, dog? That kind of.
Because every year then it would be the same alpha, beta, dog.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just
making that comment. I know I'm going to be in the doghouse when we finish this show today.
Correct. So here the hurricane tracking charts from Earl. It's well off to the north of the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. They're getting some rain out of it, and
even well to the south and east of Bermuda.
Yes. And it's most of the vast majority of the tracking models can't bring this left of 66, so 66 west. So if you want to start making not you, Joe, but I'm just saying if someone is making the case that this is going to go left of 70, well, you know what? Let it get to 70 first, and then then we can have this
Have the
conversation,
discussion.
right?
Yes.
Because right now, I mean, you have to just rely on maybe the European model you could maybe make a case that it could go to 70, but no, until you see some evidence that that's going to happen, I would lean away from it. And here are the intensity models. You've got quite a few of them actually. Yeah, by 108 hours, by 96 hours, Joe, quite a few of them, 96 to 108 hours, have this as a category 3. And by the way, just to go back to that forecast plot, uh, you're talking about 18 north at the very bottom of the screen, 36 north at the top, and in terms of latitude and longitude, you're looking at 72 west on the left side of the frame and 52 west on the right side of the frame. So it's not a small area of geography, but on the other hand, it's not an enormous. It's taking, we're talking about most of these models showing tracks out to 168 hours. So you're looking at 7-day forecasts out of all of this. And the Hurricane Center has on their latest, I believe this is the 11 a.m. advisory for Earl is at 19.5, 64.4, top winds at 50, northwest at 3 miles an hour, which is basically a crawl. And from there, hang on, I hit my audio button by accident here. Let me make sure I'm still speaking. Yes, I am.
You're there.
Okay,
yes.
Good. Get up. Okay, so all right, here we go. Back to what we were talking about here. So again, 19 and a half at 64 and a half, crawling at northwest at 3 miles an hour. And you can see that the plots are very tight right through Thursday morning, where it's forecast to become a hurricane by Tuesday morning, and then they have it as a major hurricane by sometime during the day on Thursday. So look, for now, it is where it is, and as you said, I agree with you. The main threat later this week, if it is just going to be out in the ocean, is the fact that there are probably going to be some swells at the beaches late this week.
Right. I can remember. I think it was 1984, and it was sometime in like mid or late October. There was a hurricane by the name of Josephine. Again, I think it's 84. Maybe it was 85. No, I think it was 84. That supposedly was going to make a turn away from the coast, but just kept coming closer and closer to coastal New Jersey and Long Island. And it got to the point where it was on a Sunday. My wife and I, we were living in Franklin Square at the time, Long Island. We actually took a trek down to Jones Beach. And Joe, it was amazing. Here it was in the middle and latter part of October. The skies are like overcast. And Jones Beach was, I won't say completely crowded, like on a hot summer day, but there was a fairly large number of people, and all of them were doing the same thing, like what we were doing, looking at the waves, looking at the swells, looking at the way the water was being churned up by this offshore hurricane. Eventually, Josephine made a last-minute turn away from the coast and spared us from any major activity. But there was a lot of swelling. There was a lot of rip currents and waves. I don't remember whether or not we may have seen a few people actually try to go into the water, but it just goes to show you that sometimes you don't necessarily need to have the storm come right at you. If it's a potent storm, and it looks like Earl could be a potent storm by week's end, it will still have a say in the water in terms of churning things up. Probably going to be a high probability of rip currents and swells and whatever. So next weekend does not look like a good weekend if you plan to, jump out in the any of the South Shore beaches or Jersey Shore beaches, because it may very well be that there'll be a lot of red flags out there, courtesy of Earl.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that at all. We got something new to look at, something we don't usually look at these things because 99 times out of 100, they are they go into the Pacific graveyard, as I like to call it. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. But we do have, let me bring it back up on the screen. So just give me a moment here. We do have on the Pacific side, Joe, we have, and I've got the Eastern Pacific satellite loop up. We have Tropical Depression 12E. Now, Javier, which is a tropical storm, or was a tropical storm, and it's now a remnant low. If you look up to the northwest, well up to the northwest, and off the coast of the central Baja Peninsula, which is as far north as this satellite goes, you can see the remaining low-level circulation that is moving westward. But we're seeing a tremendous. I always watch the one thing I do like about watching these Pacific storms is that they always look like they're these huge areas that are blowing up with convection, and sometimes you can get some rather large storm systems out of these things. Yeah, and this is moving away for the time being. There is a circulation that has developed, and it is forecast to become a tropical storm in short order and move west. At the moment, they're carrying west at 10, 14 north, and 101.4 west. Top winds are 35 miles an hour. Forecast to gradually turn more northwest and become a hurricane, and then north-northwest, bringing it very close, if not right, onto the Baja Peninsula by 7 a.m. Friday. And the reason why I bring this up is because of the fact that when I was sort of side watching the model guidance over the last couple of days with this, and we've got enough of the new GFS to take a look. So why don't we go to the Pacific side here in the western U.S., and we'll get it as it gets picked up. There it is, comes into view, and you see it there. It moves out. Hang on. No, that's not it. I'm sorry. That's what's left of Javier. Okay, the Javier is moving out. The low-level circulation is moving west and then southwest. Now here comes 12E, which will be the K storm. It's got a 958 pressure approaching the Baja Peninsula, and it kind of skims the Baja Peninsula. It gets pretty far up the coast, Joe. The rains almost make it to there's a northern edge of rain on this that almost makes it to San Diego before the low gets ejected eastward. But you got to wonder if this took a track, say, over the Baja Peninsula and kept moving straight north, that this would bring some rather significant rains to Southern California and into the Southwest. Now, so I'm guessing that the idea that if it makes this close call or may even touches land there on the Baja Peninsula, that it's going to make a sharp left turn, just like the circulation of Javier does. And I love how, by the way, it goes from a 9, I think that's a 67 pressure. Hard to say. 58, 67. It goes from a 67 pressure Friday morning, and by the time we get to next Sunday, it's up to the pressure rises to, and it's going to be faster than this. It rises to a 995, and then it just goes away. But it'll be very interesting to see what plays out with that.
This is a very anomalous, very unusual pattern. You do not often see a tropical system come, as you just said, Joe, literally right up the spine for a time, right up the spine of the Baja. I mean, usually if they do affect Baja in any way, it's usually like just off the south coast of Baja, and then they kind of swing away out to the west over the ocean. This is indeed a very unusual. It has, it's not anything that's never happened before. I think actually there have been a couple of cases where a hurricane has had an indirect or direct effect on Los Angeles and San Diego.
Yeah, they've come all the way up.
You would really need the kind of pattern in a way that what we're looking at right now with this system to do it. And this is very, very unusual. Knowing the climate, I do know a little bit of the climatology of San Diego, at this time of the year, this is about as dry and as clear a month as you get in San Diego. Not to say San Diego always seems to have almost perfect weather, but to have something like this happen, this is very odd, very, very unusual. So that'll be another. I could hear on the some of the evening newscasts coming up in the coming days ahead. You know, first extreme heat, 100+ degree temperatures, and now for Southern California, hurricane.
Yes. Oh, stop it.
This is the evening news with.
Exactly. Well, I got the upper air. I'm just going to give me a moment here. I've got the upper air with in the west for this week. And there's a big upper ridge that is sitting over Nevada, Utah. So it basically, the thing is moving northward until it gets far enough north that upper high then turns it westward. So if the ridge is a little bit weaker, you could wind up seeing this go further north before it makes the turn. And that's really the key. I mean, I'm running this loop here. I put the H in Nevada. It could have been in Utah, but you know, starting on Monday evening, I mean, if you look just basically at what goes on in the West this week, is that ridge just holds there the whole week long before it begins to. It actually doesn't even deteriorate. It just sort of orients itself in a different direction. More instead of being east-west oriented, it's more northwest-southeast, and that sort of opens up the alleyway for it to go to the northwest. So you folks on the West Coast, I occasionally get the message from someone or the comment on someone that we never talk about the West. Well, we're talking about the West, so you should be happy we're talking about the West. Meanwhile, back in the East, as we take a look, we've got a few things going on. I just saw an upper air that made my heart drop out about 9 days from now, but here's the situation in the east where you've got this ridge off the southeast coast. This was yesterday, by the way. So you've got upper high. Well, let me clean this up here. So there's upper high. Okay. Earl is down here, just kind of off the screen. That's Earl. We make a little E there. Trough from the northern lakes southwestward into Texas, and then you see the eastern periphery of the other high that is out in the western part of the United States. So going forward for here in the east is the fact that the ridge weakens, the trough in the Midwest kind of stretches, and then starting tomorrow, we have more of a southwest flow up the East Coast. And as you pointed out, Joe, you've got this front that's sort of sinking southward into that. And that should generate some rain. And meanwhile, as we move to Tuesday, you see Earl on the GFS gets to almost, not even, just a little bit left of 65 degrees west. It's a 26 at 65 on the upper feature. And then it sort of moves northeast or northeast from there, and, you know, you can kiss it goodbye. What's interesting to me is we squeeze out the moisture that we could squeeze out as this upper trough drops down along about Wednesday. It's actually a cutoff low that forms right over your house and drops southeastward. And then I'm looking at this, Joe, and I'm seeing what looks like a big cutoff that forms right over St. Louis toward around September, next Sunday, next Monday. Now, if there's a tropical system that's, say, in the eastern Gulf at this point with this kind of setup, that would shoot right up the East Coast. But it's an interesting upper air that it evolves into a week from now.
But there isn't for the moment.
Well, that we know of.
That we know of. All right.
Right.
Hopefully we will not have any. I'm going to just keep my mouth shut, because if I say something even further, you know, it may just happen, and that would be the last thing that I think anybody would want. The irony of irony, such a dry summer, and all of a sudden, in the middle part of September, hey, guess what? We have a tropical storm coming out of the eastern seaboard.
That's right. Yes.
And dumping the full complement of all the rain we missed out on during the summer on top of us in just 2 days. That's and yes, friends, that has happened in the past, but hopefully not in the future.
And at this point. Now let's get to the local stuff and take a look at what's happening. First off, on the radar, there are some downpours moving into north. At least as of 12:35, Joe, there's most of some downpours in northeastern PA, just to the west of I-81. It looks like there's a stray cell moving into right near, heading for Port Jervis in near the New York State, Pennsylvania, New Jersey state line. Showers extending back into parts of northern Ohio and over Lake Erie and southeastern Michigan. Seeing some downpours with some flash flood warnings up in western South Carolina, actually in northwest Georgia this morning. There are a few areas that have gotten over half, a fairly large area that's gotten over half a foot of rain as of 6 a.m. this morning, and probably another couple of inches since then. We've got a few flash flood warnings up there, also into northern Alabama and eastern Tennessee, and we've got some downpours along the Louisiana coast back over into Texas. Otherwise, most of the rest of the nation is quiet. The Storm Prediction Center showing not too much from southern New Jersey to northeastern South to eastern South Carolina. No thunderstorms are forecast today, but they do have some general thunderstorms forecast for the remainder of the Northeast, except far upstate New York and northern Maine. Marginal risk across north central Texas, including the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Marginal risk in parts of Arizona, southern Nevada, including Las Vegas, and then extending west almost to L.A., with a marginal risk of severe weather there. No severe weather is forecast tomorrow, although we do have general thunderstorms being indicated from the northeast and down the coast, again with the exception being down Delaware, the Delmarva Peninsula into eastern North Carolina. And day 3, which is Tuesday, draw a line from New London, Connecticut to, say, Poughkeepsie to Scranton, to Cleveland, and that's the northern flank of a line of general thunderstorm activity that covers the rest of the U.S. WPC, Joe, WPC, they're showing rain here. I thought that was interesting. They even have a mesoscale discussion, by the way, up there. But WPC for day 1, 2, and 3. So this carries us through Wednesday morning. They've got a solid 1.5 to 2.5 inches covering much of central and eastern PA, northern New Jersey, the Hudson Valley to about, New York City, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. A little less as you get down further south, but still not too shabby. An inch to 1.25 inches maybe for central and southern New Jersey and for Long Island and southern Pennsylvania down into Maryland. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic that this will verify.
I think so. I think, and by the way, I know how you love to show the colored map, but you can also show the contours. You go to the contour version, and if you go to the contours,
I have to go to the legacy page for that. Because,
no, you don't.
Yes, it says it just sent me to the link to the legacy page.
Uh-huh.
For the contours.
I looked at it. Well, then I could save you the time by just simply saying that all of this purple here does indeed correspond to at least 2 inches. So,
all right. Well, we'll take your word for it. I'm not doubting you.
I just have I just have a better, I do better looking at the little squiggly lines as opposed to the colors. I can't really differentiate specifically. It's not that I'm colorblind. It's just that it's more difficult for me to eyeball this situation.
I get it.
So we have possibly 2 inches of rain coming.
You want to share that? You want to share that with the studio audience? You can.
Oh well, then why don't I?
Well, why don't you?
I don't do this for the heck of it here. WPC and go to QPF and 7-day totals and move that up. And whoops, wait a minute, didn't mean to do it that way. Contours only. And now go to Joseph Chiappi and do this and share and voila, there you go. And you
Yeah.
could see right here this brown contour with the number 2 on it, and it corresponds to almost the entire tri-state area. The only one that's out of it, I believe out of it, is Long Island. No, this is confusing to me, is that it's the same color. It seemingly is the same color, but I don't know. All I see is the number 2. All I see is the number 2, and I see a contour here encompassing much of the tri-state area. So that's good enough for me to say, all right, 2 inches from 12Z Sunday today to 12Z Sunday next Sunday, September 11th.
By the way, and I'm gonna switch back. Take a look at the 7-day numbers here from WPC, and kind of interesting, I guess, overall, in that, okay, so obviously what's going to happen is front-end loaded for the Northeast and Northern Mid-Atlantic states, but take a look at the rains for the Tennessee Valley, the Southern Appalachians, down through Georgia and Alabama, and then along the Gulf Coast, Joe. We're talking about on the maps here, anywhere from 3 to 7 inches of rain in that stretch, and also along the immediate Gulf Coast and down right along the immediate coastal bend. And that's pretty solid rainfall, even pushing up the northern flank of this is like a finger that pushes up into south central Kentucky. So this tropical flow that's been covering much of the immediate Gulf Coast seems to be wanting to spread further north. And that ultimately may be a good sign for the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic states, because part of the problem has been the fact that the moisture field has been pinned so far south that it hasn't really gotten up into the, well up the Appalachians and well up to the East Coast. So the pattern might be opening up for more of that moisture to move northward, which would be a plus. And also, WPC has a slight risk, which is at least 15%, but less than 40% chance of some localized flash flooding for tomorrow into Tuesday morning for eastern Ohio, northern West Virginia, northern western Maryland, western and central Maryland, most of Pennsylvania, the northern half of New Jersey, basically, let's say, along and north and west of the Turnpike, Long Island, Connecticut, Rhode Island. A lot of these areas been, very, very dry. Some of these areas still in excessive drought. So, not that we want localized flash flooding, but you know what? If the beauty of this is the fact that this is not going to be a 1 or 2 hour event of a line of thunderstorms going through. This should be, a nice soaking rain of 8 to 12 hours at the very least, and that would be useful.
Yeah, and in fact, on the hazardous weather outlook for the tri-state area from our friends at the National Weather Service, Upton, they're saying a slow-moving front will bring showers and isolated thunderstorms Monday afternoon into Tuesday morning, may produce locally heavy rainfall that could lead to flash flooding. The Weather Prediction Center has outlined a slight risk for excessive rainfall across the region during this time. No flood watches, advisories, or warnings are yet in effect for the tri-state area. However, if what we've all been talking about for the last 5 minutes does come to fruition, yes, it will likely be posted at least a flash flood watch or a flood advisory, because this looks like we're finally going to see some very significant rainfall in and around our area.
Okay, so this is going to lead me now. I'm going to bring myself back to the screen if I can find where did I go? There I am.
And thank you, Leon Probitsky, for hitting super chats. And he says, let's pray for copious amounts of rain. If we don't get copious amounts of rain, then we can get Corpus Christi in Texas, but that's
right. And Robert Russo hit super chat before the show started, so I want to give him a big thank you for that. So here's the deal for tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be one of those days where you're going to have people that are going to be really upset because either it rained and it wasn't supposed to, or it didn't rain and it does. Okay, and this is going to be tomorrow's going to be one of those days where as you watch the rain come down from the north as the front starts to move down from the northwest, certain areas are going to start to rain first. Other areas are probably not going to rain until maybe very late in the day, which means that if you've got stuff going on during the day, you should be okay. So the question becomes your location. So this is why it's difficult, even in a show like this where we can go as long as we want. We can't zip code forecast for you, okay? So if you want a zip code forecast, then you'd have to contact well, I'll leave Joe out of this because I'm sure he doesn't want to be, bombarded by contacts. And with me, you have to pay me. So, which is it's a whole nother discouragement. But here's the thing: if something going on, did the executive producer say something here?
No, I'm talking to you.
Oh, okay. Because you just turned. I thought it looked like you were talking to someone else. No, but the point is, someone's going to say you're going to see a forecast or hear a forecast from somebody and they say the word rain. That doesn't really help you very much when you're looking at, unless you put it in reference to a specific location and a specific time. Why are you laughing?
I'm just laughing, that's all. I'm in a fun mood today.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm not used to
mountains. We should all have the same. You talk about some people going to get angry or upset or whatever.
I could. By the way, let me also make clear: I could care less whether they get upset. just so you know. I mean,
we should have the demeanor as Mountain Biker 49 on the chat board, who writes, "Very unexpected thunderstorm just hit me in Northeast Pennsylvania, ruined my deck building," and then he adds, "But we'll take it."
Yeah. Well, it shouldn't have been that unexpected. Oh my God, you sounded like a buzzsaw when you did that. It shouldn't have been that unexpected. So on that note, let me just run through the GFS. And one other thing, by the way, when Joe says the tri-state area, because there are a number of tri-state areas around the country, he is referring to the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut tri-state area. I would, call it more the quad state and throw Pennsylvania in there. As part of it, Eastern Pennsylvania, and we could make it the Quint State area as we throw in New Jersey. So let's bring up the GFS. And by the way, I'm not saying absolutely anything about your cough, if only because Joe, you remember back when I was sick. And recovering. I had that long battle. I was dealing with the spiking fevers and the cough, so I know exactly how that feels, and you just want it to go away. So my sympathies are with you. But here's the thing for tomorrow. So obviously, what was the guy you just referenced to on the chat board? Mountain
Biker 49.
Mountain Biker 49. Okay. Well, there are some little blobs here on the GFS this afternoon at 2:00, which is a little over an hour from now, and then they disappear. Now, tomorrow morning, actually even tomorrow afternoon, Joe, at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, there is now the GFS is like the European has been, which has basically been arguing that rain would not really move in until very late in the day from west to east. So it's mostly dry. New Jersey, Hudson Valley, Connecticut, Long Island, through 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, and then by 8 o'clock tomorrow evening, except for south of 195 in New Jersey, it's raining everywhere. So if you're waking up tomorrow morning and you're mad because you canceled things because it was raining and it's not raining, guess what? It won't be raining tomorrow morning, other than if there's an odd shower here and there. And at 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, for most of the area, it ain't going to be raining. After that, it'll be raining. And it'll be raining Monday night. And Tuesday morning, Joe, the GFS is pretty loaded here with some heavy rains, even into Tuesday afternoon. So if it gets in a little later, it gets out a little later. And I'm thinking that this model run must have produced a fairly significant amount. In fact, there's a wave that develops off the New Jersey coast that drops southward, and we've got rain and a northeast wind here all day on Wednesday, if that's correct,
Yes, lovely,
isn't it?
lovely. How about taking a look at the weekend? This is for the for the sake of the executive producer, who I know is now suddenly anxiously turning her attention to her iPad screen upstairs. And I say this because next weekend is the biggest weekend of the year for the German American Club, which has its clubhouse here in Putnam Valley. They have their annual Oktoberfest. It is a big, big thing all through the weekend. It'll be on Saturday and again on Sunday. And one thing that she wants more than anything is to have good weather for the Oktoberfest. But from what I've been looking at, Joe, it's not going to necessarily be horrible, but it ain't necessarily going to be, like bright, sunny, and lovely. What do you think?
I would say that yes. Looking at this, I would say uh, that you probably will be dealing with a bit of an onshore flow and some and clouds. Most of the rain, though, in fact, almost all of the rain goes way to the west the whole weekend. So it doesn't look like it's going to be. I don't think rain is the issue. The issue, the issue may be that if you're looking for picture perfect blue sky and low dew points and that sort of thing, um, that's going to be a tough sell come next weekend. Actually,
as long as it doesn't,
the
as
dew,
long as it doesn't, as long as we don't have any major rain or any significant rain, because a lot of, for the kids, for example, they like to play games on the grass. They have the big bouncy tent or whatever. And I mean, you get steady rain during that time frame, and that's kind of like, I mean,
listen, I'm gonna take it back. I think maybe next weekend, particularly Saturday, might be pretty decent. And in fact, if Earl gets starts moving northward and northeastward, it's going to help to actually bring down dew points. It's got the GFS has got 50 dew points all the way down to almost to me by the time we get to Friday and Saturday. So I'm not,
that's good.
So you might not be too bad. It might not be too bad.
All right. So that's good.
Let's see what I just want to see what kind of rainfall the Oh, look at these big rainfall amounts the GFS is giving for Monday night into Wednesday morning. That's a clobbering here. Let's take a look. On the new run, I mean the darker purples, they've got darker purples over Long Island, over Connecticut. They've got the lighter purples, which is at least 2 inches. At least 2 inches, if not 2.5, going up almost to Albany, back over to almost to Scranton, even through central New Jersey. And it's got the darker purples of 3 inches plus over central and eastern Long Island and into parts of Connecticut and into Rhode Island. So this actually hits a lot of the areas that are under an excessive drought. Hits them pretty good. With rainfall here on this particular run.
Yeah, let's hope, however, that it doesn't take, 2 months like it did in Arizona to alleviate all the drought conditions.
No, yeah, no, no, our topography is a little different than theirs is. I think we would do it a whole lot faster than they will. So let me bring myself back into the mix here. They upgraded my software that I use to broadcast, which is really good because the new changes that they made have made it a little easier for me. It makes me I have to pay attention more. So I'm very happy about that. So on that note, let's do a little bit of Briller Jeopardy. I think
Debbie Carroll, by the way, on the chat board says, my daughter is named Danielle, and I have to wait for her, too.
Do you have Briller Jeopardy or do I?
I believe I do.
Okay.
I believe I do, and I think this is Briller Jeopardy for the chat board. Hang on for a moment.
By the way, on the German Fest, can anybody show up?
Oh, of course. Oh, of course. In fact, if the executive producer's hearing this right now, she will immediately get up, come down the stairs, and tell you everything that needs. Oh, I have the flyer here. It will run from next Saturday, September 10th, through next Sunday, September 11th, 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. on Saturday, 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Sunday. It is at 11 Cramers Pond Road in Putnam Valley. Continuous entertainment appearing under a giant tent. The Heimat Klang Orchestra, also appearing on Saturday, is Eric Ball.
Well,
I presume.
let me just run for the Heimlich Maneuver Orchestra, as you just mentioned. Yes.
It's the Heimat Klang or Klang Orchestra. Anyway, great music. Great German music, especially. There is the Beerstein Holding Contest on Saturday night. Honest to goodness, Joe, this is a very popular. All of the men who care to, they are given a giant stein of beer.
All the men will care to.
And they have to hold their hand out with the stein at arm's length. This almost looks like something they would do on the TV show Survivor. And you have to hold that stein out as far as you can for as long as you can. And after about 5 or 6 or 7 minutes, a lot of these guys, they start feeling it. They start shaking the stein. They start shaking their hands, and they just can't hold it. And the last one who is holding the stein wins. What are they going to win?
Well, first of
Well,
all,
how about if they?
It costs only $10, and they get all of that, the whole liter of beer. There is.
That's right, Joe. Believe it or not, there's beer at the Oktoberfest. I mean, if you're into beer, all kinds of beer, you can come and there's beer, and you win a whole.
There is a prize.
And yes.
Yes, and you're really butchering this. It's the Heimat Klang. Heimat Klang Orchestra. It's a big German band.
Well, now that I know that, of course, I'll be running to grab the last tickets. Absolutely.
There's no tickets. As many, we have a big parking lot, and then when that gets full, there's a bus that brings people back and forth to an even larger parking facility, and it's $10 to get in.
And it's a great variety of German and American foods available, including the special Oktoberfest pretzels. Have you ever had an Oktoberfest pretzel, Joe? You ain't had a pretzel until you've had an October. Well,
hey, listen, I made my own sauerkraut.
He said he's made his own sauerkraut. So, Viennese Cafe, located inside the clubhouse, imported Spaten beer. Spaten, and imported Hofbrau beer. So there will be activities for the kids. No pets are allowed except for service animals. Again, as she just mentioned, ample parking is available. ATM machine on premises. No outside food, drinks, or coolers. It's $10 per adult. Children under 14 are free when accompanied by an adult. So there you go.
William from the Jersey Shore says, "Who is that?"
Put this up on Facebook.
Who is right?
Put it up on Facebook.
William from the Jersey Shore just writes, "Who is that woman?" Well, she just randomly shows up from time to time, and talks about beer and
William
Heimlichs and all the rest of it.
Hello, dear William from the William Jersey Shore wanted to know who is that woman? Who is that woman? Yeah, she's just some woman who just
strolls
around here.
Exactly.
Strolls around the house. By the way,
no, you know what, Joe? You know what? She's our version of Carol Merrill.
Carol Merrill.
Yes.
I should show a picture. I've got it somewhere in my archives here of her wearing a German dindle.
Oh God.
And no, she actually fills it out quite well.
Oh.
Put that
hatchet away.
Put that hatchet down.
Actually, I should say thank you.
Oh God!
Oh,
And don't forget,
God.
if you mention Joe Rayo at the German Fest, you might get a $50 gift certificate from the Spiegel Catalog Company, Spiegel, Chicago, Illinois, 60609.
60609. And since I'm on a roll, let me also mention another big event of the German Club, which apparently they have placed me not in charge, but semi in charge, the Honeymooners Tribute Day. That would be on Saturday, November the 12th, from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the afternoon. If my voice hangs on that long, this is going to be a special event in which we're going to honor the television show The Honeymooners. And among other things, this particular, oh, thank you, dear. Brought me a whole bottle of water.
Yeah, after what you said about her filling out, you might want to check that water.
Check the water out a little bit.
Have it tested. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
ahead.
It's
good. No, it's good. I just took a swig. The Honeymooners Tribute Day at the German Club is going to have all kinds of honeymooner-related food. We're going to have no-cal pizza, Neapolitan knockwurst. We're going to have special raffle prizes for honeymooner themed prizes. One of the prizes, by the way, that we're going to give away, and this is the honest-to-God truth, if you're a Honeymooners fan, we're going to give away a horse with a clock in its stomach. And if you're a fan, you may remember the episode where Ralph is filing his IRS returns and Norton tells him that he has to put everything down that he's won over the past year. And at Salvatore's Pizzeria, Ralph won first prize, which was, again, a statue of a horse with a clock in its stomach. We thought that was so interesting. So we're actually going to give away, as one of the raffle prizes, a horse with a clock in its stomach. But the big event of this is going to be the fact that we're going to have as our special guest Brian Carney. Brian Carney is Art Carney, the late, great Art Carney's son. And Brian Carney is an actor in his own right. He has done a number of commercials for Geico, for example. And he is going to appear at this particular get-together. It's all set. Again, November 12th at the Putnam Valley clubhouse of the German American Club. And not only is he going to appear, Brian Carney is going to bring one of the 6 Emmy Awards that Art Carney won for his role as Ed Norton on The Honeymooners. He is also going to bring the Oscar, the actual Academy Award that Art Carney won in 1974 for the movie Harry Met Tonto. I've never seen I've seen Emmy Awards. I've never had a chance to actually see a real life or an actual Academy Award or an Oscar. He's going to bring that down with him. But the most important thing of all, Joe, is that he's going to bring Art Carney's hat that he wore as Norton on all of the Honeymooner shows. And he is actually going to give people a chance to actually put the hat on. And you could take a selfie with Brian Carney wearing the hat. I mean, that alone should be worth the price of admission. And the price of admission, by the way, for that is going to be $40. We're going to make it a whole afternoon, all a tribute to the Honeymooners. We're also going to show lost episodes. And I think we're also going to show an episode of What's My Line when Art Carney was the mystery guest. So if you're into the Honeymooners, put that big red circle around November the 12th, the Saturday, and make an appointment to come on up to the German American Club. And we'll have more to say about that, I'm sure, in the coming days and weeks.
Okay. So in the meantime, some of those listening on a podcast may have a break here for a commercial message, but it won't last, and then come right back because it's time now for our Sunday Brewler Jeopardy, which the folks on the chat board can participate in. Now that I can read the chat in almost real time. So you have it, as you said.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Just give me a chance here. Hang on for 1 second. I started getting the ringing in my headphones to indicate that the battery was about to die off. So I had to replug the thing in so that it could charge up. So from the chairman, here is the final Briller Jeopardy exclusively for the chat board. Here's number one. We recently lost Olivia Newton-John, which one of her songs was the number one the next few days following her death on iTunes chart. Which of her songs was number one a few days following her death on the iTunes chart?
Okay, I'm going to say that it was physical. That's the standout song, but I could be wrong. We could wait for the chat board responses should be showing up here momentarily. So Christinapedia says you're the one that I want, and so does Jason Schaefer. Unless everybody's Googling really quick. Summer Love, David Carter's pick. Summer Love. Craig Kalberg goes with You're the One That I Want. Physical is Mike DiChiara. So You're the One That I Want, Joe, is winning this one.
That's amazing because not a single person on the chat board came up with the correct answer to this question.
Mrs. Rayo, in her, she says after your remark about filling out the dindle, put in I honestly love you. So I'd be very careful at the end of the show. But anyway, go on. You were saying
the correct answer, believe it or not, those are all great choices, but the correct answer, according to the chairman, is Hopelessly Devoted to You.
Hopelessly devoted to you. Hopelessly devoted
to you.
Yes, okay. Next.
The Grease soundtrack had one new song featuring Olivia Newton-John that hit number one on the Billboard Hot 100. What was it?
Oh, I personally have no idea. Can you repeat the question again?
The Grease soundtrack had one new song featuring Olivia Newton-John that hit number one on the Billboard Hot 100. What was that song?
That I don't know. You're the One That I Want, Christinapedia. That's her choice.
Now, the reason that she puts "ha ha" after that, after her filing what she thinks is the answer. So why is that sarcastic?
No, because I think that's the one that's the answer she gave for the first question. So now she's giving the same answer for the second question.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Jason Schaefer has no idea.
No idea. Leon Probitsky also has a question mark. No idea.
Well,
so anyway,
the answer is
You're the One That I Want.
So Christinapedia gets that one. Now let's go to the next question.
The last the last Blockbuster video store was located in what state? Well, not just one state.
Alaska. I think it's Alaska. That's what I think.
The last Blockbuster video store was located in what state? And a bonus if you can mention the town or the city of as well as the state.
Well, Mountain Biker says Minnesota. Mountain Biker 49. Jason Schaefer says New York. David Carter says Alaska. I have to tell you, Joe, I have a memory of seeing a story on CBS Sunday Morning, I think, about the last Blockbuster store that it was in Alaska. So I'm going to say Alaska.
Well, Carl Carlberg says Oregon. Robert Russo doesn't have a clue. Renata says Alaska. Jason Schaefer says New York. And Mark DeChera says, I remember Blockbuster. Barrow, Alaska for Christopedia. Not Watertown, New York from Civilian Warrior. And Alaska Railroad. Speaking of Alaska, hello, Alaska Railroad. Haven't heard from you in a while. And Mountain Biker 49 says it's somewhere in the Midwest. And the answer is Bend, Oregon.
Bend, Oregon? Okay. By the
Believe it or
way,
not.
interesting factoid fun fact about Blockbuster is that at the height of its of the company when they were rolling in money, they they walked away from a deal to buy Netflix. Interestingly enough,
Ah,
and Netflix obviously is what it is, and Blockbuster is no longer is no longer with us for the most part, except for that
yes.
one remaining store. Okay, next. How many questions left?
I think one question and a bonus question. This is the last regular question. In 1997, what video overtook E.T. the Extraterrestrial and became the #1 rented video of all time? This is in 1997. What video overtook E.T. the Extraterrestrial and became the #1 rented video of all time?
And this was in 1997. I mean,
Correct.
was that the year was that the year of the movie Titanic?
Yeah, I think it may have been,
Then
or
I don't know when they released Star Wars on video. Those would be my two go-to choices, I suppose.
all right. Well, Jason Safer says Titanic. Mitch DeChera says Titanic. Ken Muzzullo, no, it's nothing to do with this question. Carl Carlberg says Titanic. A lot of people were asking about Titanic. Mountain Biker says, when did Harry Potter come out? And then he just immediately retracted that message. I saw it anyway, Mountain Biker. Christiapedia says, I would say Titanic, but I think that's too early. Anyway, the answer to this question, what video overtook E.T., and that was Star Wars.
Oh, Star Wars.
And here is the bonus question. What was the price of a first-class stamp? Oh, this is obscene. This is disgusting, Joe. The price of a first-class stamp in 1980. My God. Seems like only a few years ago. 1980. How much did it cost you to buy a stamp?
God, I'm gonna say 12 cents.
Well, Jason Schaefer says 7. Carl, no, so far Jason's the only one with a answer. Mountain Biker says 5 cents. That's a little on the low side. Christiapedia says 20. Ken Muzzillo says 5 cents. Craig Carlberg, 17 cents.
I said 12 cents.
Well, it turns out Craig was 1 cent closer to the truth than you were. The answer is 15 cents.
Yes, but we play by Price is Right rules. So by Price is Right rules, he's over. I win. Da 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 da. Da 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 da.
Alaska Railroad and David Carter also said 15 cents. Ms. Spellerite said 20 cents. So there you go. What is it up to now? I haven't even kept
What's it?
track.
55? Was it 55?
55 or 50,
I
58?
I have some forever stamps. I rarely mail anything. So I mean, I just happened to had to mail something early last week that required a forever stamp. So I don't even remember what I paid for those forever stamps. But anyway, neither here nor there. I have
one question. Well, say what you want to say. Then I have a question to the chat board.
Okay.
Maybe they can come up with some good advice.
Just real quick, I just got the GFS was out far enough, and I thought this was kind of interesting, so I was watching this evolve. But here's what will be the K storm, which I don't know what the K storm name is, in the Pacific side, and you can see it's got a Category 3 hurricane that skims the Baja Peninsula, and the rain bands, Joe, on this run make it almost to Los Angeles. Actually, the northernmost rain band makes it up to Los Angeles before it makes the turn. So this run on the full run gets further north than on some prior runs before it makes the left turn. So kind of interesting. And in the meantime, I'm just looking at something coming out of the Gulf of Mexico that's east of New Orleans next Friday. Just looks like
Well,
a.
what are we up to? I mean, what are we up to in the in terms of the letter? What would this be? Do you know offhand?
It would be the K storm. It'll be a female K storm. I don't know what the Pacific list is.
I believe. I think it's K.
No, I know it's.
K.
Oh, you mean Kaye?
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know. And I don't want to. I could Google it, I suppose. I could anyway. Other than that, there is rain. Quite a bit of rain next weekend in the Ohio and Tennessee Valley and down in the deep South, but most of that stays out of the Northeast until maybe Monday or Tuesday of next week, where we get some more rain. So just wanted to point that out in
Yeah.
in the long range.
The next one, the next bunch of names, it's K followed by Lester, Madeline or Madeline, Newton, and Orlean. Not to be confused with the band.
Correct.
Those are the names in the Pacific storms.
And go ahead. Now
I have a question. It is frustrating. It's been frustrating to me for the last few days. I have a printer. In fact, I will tell you what the printer is. It's an HP OfficeJet Pro 6978 printer. Had it for several years now. And about a week or two ago, I noticed that the blue in the printer, it was not printing blue. Has all the colors printing, it was not printing blue. So I changed out all of the cartridges. All of the cartridges that are in this printer now are all the way up at the top. I mean, it's not empty or anything. They're all full or close to full. I then went through a head cleaning process. You could do this more than once. You could do it. You can clean your head, your print heads, as many as 3 times, and I did that. Then I aligned the print heads. You go through that procedure. Went through all of that. Still is not printing blue. So the colors are off. I don't know what to do. One of the things I'm considering is bringing it down to the local. They have here where I live the Geek Squad, and seeing if they could do anything with this. But aside from bringing it down to the Geek Squad, does anybody have any idea what might be wrong with this? I have absolutely, Christiopedia, thank you. You were out of blue. LOL. No, the blue cartridge is at full. So I have no idea what to do with this. Now, this happened a couple of years ago to my daughter, but my daughter's printer was on warranty. She went directly to HP, and what HP did after fumbling around for a few minutes, they said, you know what? The hell with this. We'll send you a new printer. And I'm wondering whether or not I'm going to need a new printer instead of just getting the damn thing fixed.
Well, it would have.
Whether it's fixable.
Well, if you take it to the Greek Squad, I guarantee it's going to cost you at least $100.
No, it won't, because we bought a couple of high-priced items at the store, and so I had something wrong with my computer in February, and got it. Everything was all done gratis. And the same thing would probably fall into case.
Well, if that's the case, then what took you so long to take it over there?
I think I'd have to make a reservation. And I can't do it now because obviously it's a holiday. Of course, all these things happen on a holiday, Joe.
Right.
But
apparently on the OfficeJet Pro 6978 it shows up on a Google search, so you're not the only one. Apparently, this person had the same issue 4 years ago. If the standard troubleshooting did not resolve cyan not printing, which is blue, I would suggest removing the cyan cartridge, turning it over, and examine the area. Hold on, I'm trying to blah 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 blah. I would be removing the cyan cartridge, turn it over, and examine the area around the ink port. There are 4 orange plastic spots left over from the protective cap. Okay, see right here, it's like if you're telling me you got something with the Geek Squad that the Geek Squad that they could fix it, I'm not even going to read you the rest of it. Take it to the Geek Squad. If they can't fix it, then you buy a new printer. End of story.
My wife is insulting me on the chat board here. And she says, no, we have a contract, and he's lazy. Ah, we don't have a contract. We don't have a warranty for this printer, dear. At least we've had this printer for like 4 years now. I'm sure the warranty is up on this printer.
Probably is, but you never know. But this
Whatever.
person says there are 4 orange plastic spots left over from the protective cap. Make sure these are flush with the cartridge body. If not, carefully trim, then flush. If the plastic rubs protrude, they can prevent the cartridge from seating properly. Before replacing the cartridge in the printer, just chuck the printer out out the window and go buy yourself a new printer, for Christ's sake. What's the matter with you? And on that note, I'll run an extra commercial break and you can pay for the darn thing.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
That having been said, it's been an hour and 20 minutes. It's been a good midday show. Thank you all for tuning in, and I guess we'll see you tomorrow night.
See you tomorrow night, everybody, at the usual time, 7:30 Eastern. And enjoy the rest of your Labor Day holiday weekend. Bye, everybody.